Good to go. I think that's us.
Good.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Craig. How are you doing, mate?
Very good, mate. Happy to be here. Lovely
Good,
studio.
good.
So
It's a lovely studio, correct. Big shout out to G4 Claims
that's it.
for
That's
hosting
it.
us. Soft drinks. You had a beer earlier, but
I'm an athlete, so
You're exactly.
we can't,
This
we can't
is-
show that in camera. So
this is an athlete's podcast. This is a football player and athlete's podcast. So Craig Quinn is one of my best mates from growing up, and he's here today to tell us about his journey playing football in the States on a scholarship and what he does now, his youth career up until he went to the States, that sort of thing. So I'm going to give the people a bit of a background to Craig Quinn, and then you can add anything if you think I've not done you justice. Okay?
perfect.
So you're 24.
That's it.
You played at Hamilton, youth career. You also were involved in the Scotland international setup as a young player. You left for the States at a young age, spent 5 years in the States,
5 years, yeah.
5 years, 2 different colleges, and now you work for one of the biggest technology companies in the world.
That's
Am I
it.
right?
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Okay, is that a fair overview of Craig Quinn?
I think you've nailed it on the head there.
There we go. Easy. So I met you back in first year, wasn't it, of school, secondary school,
First year, yeah.
Bears End Academy,
Yeah.
the glory days.
That's it. What a school team we had.
Unbelievable school team. Unbelievable. Those were good days. Those were good days. It was when we were just, well, personally, I was just allowed to still play for the school team those first few years. But then I went into Celtic, obviously, and that kind of stopped. Whereas you were at Hamilton.
We weren't meant to play for the school team.
We weren't meant
We
to.
kind of just played anyway.
Yeah.
That was it. We
Yeah. And
sneak away and play for the school team.
so, should we start with Hamilton Accies? What age
Yeah.
were you when you joined them?
So when I first joined Hamilton Accies, I think it was under 11s. So I think I would have been 11. So the year before I started first year, so that would have been primary 7.
Hey, remember, you need to be a fist away from the microphone, brother.
Well, that's it. Make sure the sound quality is perfect.
Exactly. So, under 11s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So under 11s, I was at Hamilton. Before that, I was at boys club. I played for a boys club called Rosvale, who are now actually a junior team.
They were always a pretty good boys club, though, weren't they?
Yeah, great boys club.
How did you go from Rosvale to Hamilton?
Yep. So just playing for Rosvale, got scouted, went in trial. Spent quite a while in trial actually. I think I spent like about 6 months in trial. At that age, I wasn't the most physically developed, so I think making that transition from boys club to pro youth was quite difficult for me. However, once I got used to the kind of physicality of it at that age, it wasn't a problem, and
Yeah.
he eventually signed me. Don't know
There
if
we
it was
go.
a good decision or a bad decision.
You're a good footballer, I'll give you that. You're a good football player.
well,
You're
yeah.
better than me.
Oh, that's would be hard, would it?
Shut the fuck up.
But basically, yep, signed after about 6 months, and that was me. I was at Hamilton
So,
right the
under
way through.
11s, is that still primary school?
Primary school, yeah. So you're playing 7-a-side football.
So,
at that point.
you were in the academy pretty early then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really young.
And
really young.
you spent a long time there, didn't you?
Yep. So I was there from under 11s right through to the end of under 17s.
Yeah.
So I went from playing like the 7-a-side stuff to actually being involved in like the under 20s setup quite regularly and actually training with the first team and all that when I was 16, 17.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And I think, but that's one of the things that clubs like Hamilton are good at. You were 15, 16 and you're already kind of like sniffing in around the first team. Obviously because you were a good player. They were interested in you at that time, but it was around that time where you then have to make the decision, or you made the decision whether or not to stay in Scotland and try and get a contract playing the Hamilton first team or go elsewhere. So what were you thinking coming up? Because I remember as well at the time, it was when I was on the verge of signing for Celtic as well, professional contract. I remember talking to you and your dad about the options, like doing the scholarship in the States, and it sounded extremely attractive to me at the time. So talk us through how that process went and how you found out about it and why you opted for it.
Yeah, so the time at Hamilton, I was playing regularly in the under-17s and getting the odd appearance here and there in the under-20 setup. And I remember actually, I think a few of the boys in my team were actually looking to go out to the States at the time, and they had different colleges kind of looking at them. I think they were sending away videos of them playing. And it just so happened that one of the players in my team had sent away a video, and I think we were playing maybe an under-17 game against Kilmarnock that I happened to play quite well in. And the coach out in America took notice of me and kind of got in touch with me via email that way.
Yeah, I actually remember that.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a wee bit out the blue. At the time, I knew a fair bit about what like scholarships out in the States and all that stuff. I didn't know the full details of it. I maybe wasn't getting as many opportunities at the time at Hamilton as I would have liked. So I was almost in that mindset. I was looking elsewhere, and I was even considering, going to university. And when that coach contacted me, and basically gave me the run through of what it was like going out to the States and the opportunities that you could get from it, I was really interested. We set up at the time. It was before the days of Zoom and all that stuff. So we were still using Skype.
Skype, yeah.
So we used a Skype call. We had a Skype
Careful.
call.
No defamation towards Skype.
Nothing wrong with Skype. it served its purpose. But we had a Skype call, and he basically sold me on the American dream pretty much.
I think that's interesting though, because a lot of boys that are in academies, like you just said there, you were thinking about university. You kind of had this first idea of the scholarship, whereas a lot of boys would just be like tunnel vision, tunnel focus. I want to play. I want to get this professional contract. I want to stay in Scotland, play for the first team. Like, why did you not have that mindset? Was that not something that you wanted to do? Did you not want to stay at Hamilton and try and get into the first team and play?
I did, and at that time I was very much in the mindset that I wanted to be a professional footballer, and I wanted to play at the highest level I could possibly play at. However, I think at the time, if I remember right, I wasn't quite getting the opportunities at Hamilton that I felt I deserved, and it's almost that way when you're young. You're thinking of what else you can do. And when this opportunity came up...
Which is good perspective to have, though, when you're young.
Yeah.
Because not everyone does.
Yeah, I feel like, as well, like, obviously my dad was quite good at helping me keep an open mind. But when this opportunity came up, I was at an age where I wanted to try something new. And...
You were very young, weren't you?
Yeah, I was only 17 at the time, and... just felt like that this was a great opportunity, and I seen it actually as a stepping stone to go out and play professional out in the States after. That obviously, in reflection, never happened, but at the time that was really why I was going out there. I was going out there to, for a new start, to go out there and probably try and make my way in the professional game over there after I'd done college. And I seen also the degree as being a kind of backup, which I guess it was, that if it didn't work out in terms of playing at the highest level possible, or even if you played at a level where you weren't necessarily going to make a fortune out the game, as not everyone can, that was maybe another career path I could have taken after I'd finished playing football. So I think that was the kind of mindset at the time, albeit I was still young and
but I think it's important to say as well, like you were definitely good enough to play professional football in Scotland because you were involved in the Scottish youth teams as well. With me, I remember what was the trip? Was it Italy?
We went to Italy.
Italy. So like it wasn't as if you weren't making the grade, like, but you still had the awareness that, as you said there, not everyone makes a massive living playing football in Scotland. So you keep an open mind. And the fact that not that you're stopping football, but that there's other opportunities maybe out in the States, or even you knew yourself. I remember like you could have you went and did the scholarship, and you could easily come back and play football again because you're only 21, 22. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. There's that opportunity. You think, right, you go over there for 4 years, and then it might even open doors back here for you or potentially out there. And you know, like it's one of those things. At the time, I was when I spoke to the coach, he kind of gave me a kind of overview of all the facilities.
Was he Scottish?
He was
coach?
Scottish, yeah.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of Scottish people out there, isn't there?
Yeah, but there's a big kind of network of Scottish coaches and Scottish players over there. So anyone that goes over there are almost kind of taken in with this network. So it's a good place to be if you're Scottish. A lot of opportunities can come your way if you want to. But yeah, like the facilities out there are just second to none. And at that age, no disrespect to Hamilton, but like they're kind of smaller club in relative terms. The facilities aren't brilliant, but great place for a young player to develop. But
so you were 17 and you finally made the decision. So they watched clips back and forward. You had a few meetings with them, and you didn't attend any trial games or anything like that, because I know there are these trial games and stuff like that. What's your kind of...
Yeah, so I was lucky. I didn't need,
because you were a player.
That was brilliant. But in all seriousness, I was lucky. I didn't have to go to there's different kind of agencies that help young players go out to the States and find the right college. I was lucky in the sense I didn't have to go through that. It kind of all just came to me. However, like for any players that are looking to go out to the States, and don't have that direct contact to speak to coaches, I would say that's a good way of showcasing yourself. But yeah, so mine's
does that cost? It costs money though, doesn't it, to do that?
Normally, yeah. I think there's a kind of, I don't know exactly how it works, but I think there's a kind of guarantee that they'll get you a scholarship of 80% or something like that. If not, you only pay a certain amount. So that what you pay is dependent on what kind of deal they get you over there.
Yeah. Because that's an interest. I remember when you were going as well, you talked about the fact that it was fully paid for kind of thing, scholarship. Yep. And it really depends on, let's be honest, it depends how good a player you are, but it also depended on your school as well, didn't it? Like,
yeah, so there's all different ways that they can get you funding. So not everyone on the team is on a full scholarship. They call it a full ride out there.
Would you say the majority are not on a full scholarship?
No, most aren't actually. Okay. So generally there'll be 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 players on a full scholarship. I think the way it works is that you're allowed 9 total full scholarships amongst your squad. So imagine you have a squad of 25, 30 players, and they do have them over there. That's kind of normal. You've got to divvy out that 9 scholarships, so that worth of tuition amongst those 30 players. So generally, like, coaches will save their full scholarships for just a couple of players.
For really special players.
That's it. Definitely made a mistake with me, but yeah, that's the way it works. So potentially some boys will be on a 50% scholarship or a 60% scholarship.
And what does that actually mean? Like when you're out there, what does that mean? What's paid for, what's not paid for?
So the way it works is, it varies college to college, but generally if you're on a full scholarship, you'll have your full tuition paid for, which is expensive out there.
So for your full degree?
Yeah, for your full degree. You'll have your accommodation paid for. So you'll most of the time you'll stay on campus, so they'll have kind of the equivalent to university halls on campus. So they'll sort you out with that, and then on top of that, they'll pay for your food. So generally they'll have this kind of big canteen, and it will serve all different types of food and cater for all the university students. Yeah, like a big buffet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. So and that will be covered as well, and in some circumstances they'll potentially pay for your books and different things like that. Like I got my books paid for. But that's not always the case. But generally, that's what you'll get as part of the full scholarship.
And also all your training.
So that
gym access
again. Yeah, so that comes as part of it. Kit. Anyway. Yeah, kit. So like normally, so you'll all the facilities, and you'll be getting your training. You'll train 5 times a week. You'll be like a full-time footballer. Essentially, you'll get access to the gyms on campus, which are normally, depending on where you go, but normally they're kind of state of the art.
Yeah.
And yes, and in some cases, the colleges you go to will have quite lucrative kit deals. So I think, for example, the second college I went to actually had a deal with Nike. So like you get kitted out with all the best stuff. So it's almost like you're getting treated like a top level professional,
like a prem player.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, to be honest with you. And that was like I remember you talking to me about all this even when you were there. I remember FaceTiming you and I was thinking like that sounds class. That sounds really, really good. I remember you gave me a tour of because where was it you went to? You went to Atlanta.
Yep. So the first one was kind of like 2 hours outside Atlanta. So not in Atlanta. It was a wee bit more remote.
So 17-year-old Craig Quinn jumped on a flight himself all the way to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep. So yeah.
How did you feel before going?
To be honest, I was just excited. I think at that age you just go into things with no fear. You're just excited.
Any nerves? I'd have been nervous as hell.
Honestly, not really. I remember when I went to go get the flight from Glasgow Airport, like kind of breezed through the security. But the woman was saying to me just as I was checking in my bag, she was like, "All right, are you another one going out to Atlanta?" And I went, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, there's 2 boys just came through, heading to Atlanta as well. I don't know if you know them." And I went, "Oh yeah. They're going to the same college as me." And she goes, "Oh well, I'm surprised you're not burst out in tears." The two of them were were
crying away,
crying their eyes out.
Who was it?
So it was two Scottish boys.
Do I know them? No.
Well, you might know Reese.
Reese was one of them, right? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, basically they were going to the same college as me. They were on the same flight. We were sharing a hotel in Atlanta, and they just so happened to check in before me. And the two of them were It's good though. It's good that you get someone. You get to meet someone there before you go out. Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely eases.
We'd been in contact and all that. One of them had been out there the year before, so the coach had put him in contact with me, and we'd exchanged messages. I think we'd had a few phone calls or something like that, and he'd give me the kind of like run through of what it was like out there anyway. So that was good.
So you spent 4 years in Atlanta, Georgia.
No. So I spent 2 years.
2 years.
2 years at Young Harris. That was
where was that?
Young Harris was in Georgia.
In Georgia.
So that was just kind of 2 hours outside Atlanta. So I spent my first 2 years there. I then came home for a year and I went back out to Tennessee. So just outside a city called Chattanooga in Tennessee. So for people listening from Scotland, that's probably not a city they've heard of, but it's quite a cool wee city in Tennessee, which was good. First college I went to was in the mountains in Georgia, which was
quite remote,
but like in terms of like scenery and that, like completely beautiful, loads of lovely big hills. Weather was brilliant.
Lovely big hills.
That's it.
Do you like big hills?
Not particularly, no. I didn't manage to climb. That wasn't really my thing back then. I didn't like climb up them, but it was out in the country. And
talk me through a typical day in the life out there for you, like on like a football day, like a training day, school day. Like, what did you eat? What time are you getting up at, start to finish? And also, were you sharing a room with someone? Did you have
shared a room?
It was like a dorm, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the first year it was kind of like a dorm. The second year it was more along. It was like an apartment. Yeah.
So talk us through a day in the life of Craig Quinn out in Georgia.
So in season, the season typically lasts from August right through to kind of December time, and during the season you play 2 games a week. So a typical day would be you get up in the morning and
There's not some really early starts.
That would typically be off season. So off season we would go to the gym a lot more. But this is during the season, so the starts not so early. So you get up. Imagine you've got a class at 9 a.m. So you're up at 8 getting ready for your class. You're on campus, so your class is only 5 minutes from your dorm. You'll get up, probably go to the cafeteria, the big buffet, and get a bit of breakfast.
Big fry up.
That's it. Pancakes and eggs and all that.
Was it quite American?
Stuff. No. To be honest, I did like continental breakfast.
So you could eat well. You could
eat really anything you wanted. So you'll get up, go have a bit of breakfast, go to your classes generally. So say your classes go on from 9 till 3, and you'll have breaks in between. Like you might have a couple of classes in the morning, a couple in the afternoon. You then probably train maybe 3:30, 4 in the afternoon.
Right.
So what they try to do, it's quite hot during in season, so they'll try and avoid the kind of extreme temperatures during the day. So you'll train about 3:30, 4 in the afternoon.
So right in the midday heat then.
Well, no,
are you just passed?
Probably just past. So it's
just
past. By the end of the training, it's beginning to cool down a bit.
Right.
And that that's kind of the reason they do that, I think. And like everyone needs to go to their classes as well. So you'll do your training, then probably train for a couple of hours, and then generally as a team you'll all go to the cafeteria for your dinner.
So you would eat most evenings as a team almost?
Yeah, mostly. So like the cafeteria would be open, say, from 5 o'clock through to 8 o'clock. So you generally you'd go get a shower together after training, and then you'd go up to the cafeteria and you'd all eat together. Then at night you would probably go to the library, do a bit of studying.
Come on, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding?
But you would tell
the truth. Tell the truth.
No,
Wait, did Craig Quinn
be in the pub.
ever go to the library? I believe you did. Because you were very studious in terms of, I remember at school, your exams, you studied hard, you worked hard. You're nicknamed the flashcards?
That's it,
the flasher.
So what I'd be doing, I'd be in the library writing out my flashcards and
flashing
getting ready
in the library.
for all
That's
my
why
tests.
you went to the library.
But no, like generally at night we'd do kind of social things. They'd have a kind of student building full of like different things, like there would be pool tables, dartboards, different things you could do to pass your time. So we'd kind of be doing stuff as a team, and the boys would be from all over the world. So
was there quite a bit of travelling for games and?
Yeah, so generally you'd probably be travelling as well. Kind of
flights, or was it
flights? Mostly by bus, but occasionally by flight, depending on. Like I remember we had a game down in Miami, and we flew to that. So we flew to Miami. That was a national tournament game. So we were away for, potentially we could have been away for 2 or 3 weeks because the whole tournament's hosted there. I think we get beat in the last 16 or something. So we only played 2 games, but we were down there for about 8 or 9 days.
Yeah.
And this is like during your studies and all that. So you would get time in the hotel to study. But yeah, flying down to games.
And obviously, at the time, you were 17, 18.
At that point, 17, 18, yeah.
So exactly, you're not 21.
No.
And 21 is the age where you're allowed to go out and drink.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop you.
No.
I'm only kidding. I don't want to paint. Don't want to paint you in a bad light.
There's kind of ways around it.
Because what was the average age of the boys in the team, would you say?
Yeah, so that was another thing I probably not mentioned. That when I first went over, I was actually quite surprised about the kind of age. So I would say most of the boys were between 21 and 25.
All right, okay.
So I was the youngest by quite a bit.
You were a little baby.
So, but we were quite a mature team.
Mature?
Yeah, like we'd older players than other teams. But in my team, we'd probably be between 21 and 25. So some of the guys at that point were,
they were in their prime. They were in their prime for
8, 9 years older than me. Yeah, so they were a lot, and a lot of them went on to play professional and whatnot. But they were a good bit older than me.
How did you feel you fitted in? Obviously, being really young, in terms of like socially, but also on the pitch, like physically as well. Like, did you integrate nicely, or would you say was there any challenges?
Yeah, what I would say is at the time I hadn't played a lot of men's football. I'd played in the under-20s at Hamilton, which was a good test, but I hadn't played loads of minutes. So this was my kind of first real taste of men's football. And albeit we were quite a successful team, so most of the games we were winning. But yeah, it was a challenge for me adjusting to that kind of level of physicality, especially over there. It's quite an athletic game. So for me, it took a bit of time to transition. I wouldn't say I completely hit the ground running, although in time, you get used to. We're all adaptable, so you kind of learn your way. But yeah, that's one thing I would say about the football over there. It's very, very athletic. Maybe something that we're not used to as much here, but yeah, they really concentrate on their athleticism over there.
So in terms of, say, for example, there's young players listening who want to do scholarships, that sort of thing. in terms of what you get out there is you get state-of-the-art facilities, right? You get lovely gym, so you get food, you get looked after in terms of your food, really good training. So you get all those aspects. You're also getting your education as well.
Yep.
And again, it's really similar to the football. It's down to you how much work you put in as well for that, I would say.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But then you also have the kind of like student life as well, nightlife, going out. How was that?
Oh, it's brilliant. Well, one thing really is that you're away on your own for the first time, so that you've got that kind of freedom that as a
Freedom.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It kind of 17 years old, that is something you've never had. So being able to kind of go out and socialise and, you know, just hang around. Like for me, it was just hanging around with boys that were a bit older than me and kind of socialising with them that I really enjoyed. So yeah, there's that aspect to it as well. There's a social life. You know, you get to meet people from all over the world. So, for example, the team I played for when I first went out, we had, you know, I can't even think of how many different nationalities.
Yeah.
We had, you know, British, German, French, Serbian, Costa Rican,
Scottish.
Italian, good few Scottish, Irish, English, a lot of English boys. So really, you're
Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool mix,
yeah. So
mix of people.
And then obviously you're in a campus full of Americans, and they're all going to college, and they're all again away being independent for the first time. So there's a brilliant social life, and that's something I would say as well for anyone going out. That's part of it. You know,
like don't shy away from that, because that was part of your whole experience, because you kind of immersed yourself in it all. You got the taste and you got the full experience, the full package, and I think you have to do that, don't you?
Oh, you just have to. Yeah, exactly. So you have to go out there with an open mind and really, like, you know, not everyone's going to go out there and make it as a MLS player, or, you know, like maybe one down from that, but USL. But you just have to go in with an open mind. Like for some people, what it is they go out there and they become a coach after they leave. Other people just go out there and stay and they get a job out there. And
or they get a degree,
or they get
or they go and play football.
That's what I mean. So that, like, some go and play, some get a job, some come home, and really it's just about keeping an open mind, whatever's best for you. And I feel like one of the best things that I've taken from being over there is just having that network of people all over the world. Like there's boys that I keep in touch with from countries that I could have never imagined before I went out there, and we still keep in touch. So to this, because you're that close together, you're kind of living together, they almost become friends for life, which I think's a pretty amazing thing.
And your standard of football in the team was pretty good as well, wasn't it?
Really good. We had loads of boys from, you know, different academies in England. We had a boy that had been the captain of West Ham's under 21s. We had we had a player that played for Serbia at, you know, under 19 level. We had a few boys one from Leicester, one from Norwich. And then various different. I think one of them actually played in the Costa Rican top division.
Oh, really?
The year before he'd came out. So we had some really, really good players, and, you know, we were a right good side. And for me, actually, at that age, it was sometimes difficult to even get in the team. I played the majority of the games, but, you know, you were fighting for your place.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't easy.
You weren't guaranteed. You obviously had to work away. And,
no, you had to work for
well.
it. We had a right good team, so it was.
That's good though.
Keeps you on your toes. You know, like some people might love it going somewhere and being the main man, but, you know, just being in that environment, and we were kind of always pushing ourselves to win, because it's competitive as well. So I feel like that it almost installed, not that I didn't already have it, but it installs that kind of competitive edge in you as well, which is another good thing.
So after the 2 years, you came home. Why did you come home?
So the college I was at, the first college I was at, to be honest, it was quite remote, and like I was mentioning to you just there about having that kind of freedom and independence when you first go away. So I felt like the first year I loved, but as time went on, I was kind of being from Glasgow. It's, you know, quite a big city. There's always things to do. You know, people to see. A lot of players in the team I was playing with were beginning to leave, and some of them were my good friends. And not only that, I just was getting a bit sick of being kind of in an area where there wasn't a lot to do. Like there was a lot going on in campus, but outside of that, there wasn't too much. And I kind of started looking at other options to to change college. I probably started looking a bit too late, and most of the teams had used their budget
right.
at that time. So the kind of scholarship I was looking for wasn't available by the time I started looking. So I thought, right, I think the best option for me is I'll come home for either 6 months or a year, and then I'll look for another college to go out to, and I'll see what I can get, and that's what I done. And to be honest,
so is that common for players that have started a scholarship to do that?
what I would say is uncommon is coming home for a year.
Right.
But it's quite common for boys to transfer college.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I would say as well. If you do feel that the place you're at is getting something that you're not enjoying anymore, look elsewhere, because it's easy to do. You can transfer other colleges if you're clever about it. If you look in the right places and you weigh up your options, make sure you're going to the right place. But yeah, I would say not the majority, but I would say a good amount of the boys that I know from out there they'll transfer college at least at one point. So yeah, you can transfer if the place you end up in isn't for you, then absolutely there's other opportunities.
And that's the thing. I would always say, like, if any player really wants to do it but is also really nervous at the same time, you can just go.
Yep.
And then the worst thing that can happen is you come home after 6 months to a year because it's not for you, but at least you've gone out and you've experienced it and you've tried it. I mean, we had one mate who went out and did 1 year.
Yep.
But we won't go into detail about why he came home.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy. Not that bad. We won't mention him. We did ask him to come on though.
Yeah, he's busy tonight.
Busy.
I think that's what he said.
He's too
You
shy.
might see him on one week. He can tell his stories.
Yeah, we'll get him on another week to tell his stories, and then maybe you can tell some of your stories.
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely.
Some of your real stories. I'm only joking. So yeah, that's what I would say. If you are nervous about going out, like, the worst thing that can happen is you come home after 6 months to a year because it's not been for you. But then at least you know what I mean.
Absolutely, throw yourself in it. If you think that that's something you want to try, the biggest regret you'll have is not trying it. So the worst you can do is go somewhere, for one semester, not enjoy it. You just come home and you come back to uni here.
So you came back for a year and then you went back out for a final 2 years.
For my final 2 years, yes, I went out. Yep. So yeah, came back in the kind of May time and went out the following August. So I transferred to a college called Lee University, which is just outside Chattanooga, Tennessee.
What a name that is, Chattanooga.
Brilliant name. Brilliant place as well. But yes, I thought this was a better fit for me. It was a good team I was going to, great facilities.
Was it less remote?
Less remote, yeah. Like probably 20 minutes outside Chattanooga, which is quite a big city.
Right.
Chattanooga's probably about the same size as, maybe not far off the size of Edinburgh.
Right, okay.
So quite a big city. And yeah, I liked it. I'd actually played against them from my previous college, and I'd been up there, and it was a really, really nice university. It was a bigger university as well, good facilities. They just got a new coach, and I spoke to the coach, and I really liked him, liked his kind of philosophy and the way he spoke and all that. So I thought, great opportunity. They gave me another really good offer. So
in terms of it being a fully
funded
scholarship,
another fully funded scholarship, which was something I was looking for.
Good.
So that was my decision, and I went out there for my final 2 years. And again, to be honest, really good experience. Different experience to the first time. It was more American, a lot more American boys.
I remember you saying that there was a lot more American boys there.
Yeah, so different culture, which probably again took me a little bit to adapt to.
They're all very religious as well.
Yeah.
Had you praying before games?
That's it. Just as well, because I'm hopeless, so needed to pray before the games. But yes, it was a different experience. Probably they had a different outlook on
what
things to me.
What one did you prefer?
You know what? That's hard. That's a hard question. Probably the best time I had was my first year out there.
Yeah.
At Young Harris, because I was with a lot of kind of like-minded characters, and we had a really good time. But I wouldn't change it, because I think that my final 2 years were a kind of growing up process for me. So I think that they were really important as well.
Because what were you then, 1920 or 2021? 2021?
20, I think I just turned 20.
Just turned 20.
Yeah, so I was a bit more mature, knew what it was like out there, kind of ready to go in and kind of hit the ground running. So my last 2 years were a completely different experience to first going out. But again, different experience, but I got to meet people from different backgrounds.
So one thing we've not mentioned is your actual like degree. Like what were you doing?
So I was studying business.
So you're studying business.
Yeah. So but the way that it works with the degree over there is that you do it as a kind of liberal arts degree. So you do kind of all different types of subjects. So it's, I think I remember telling you some of the.
You were doing beekeeping at one stage.
Beekeeping, I think.
And yoga. You're not doing a yoga session
yeah,
as well?
I was doing yoga at one point, which was interesting.
So does it start quite open and then does it start to kind of narrow more towards...
Yeah, so the way it works is basically you get a certain amount of credits and so many go towards your kind of core subjects.
Yeah.
And then you get your electives as well. And then you also get...
Electives being the ones that you choose to do.
Yeah, but you still get to choose your core as well, but like they're a bit more rigid with how you choose them. And then your electives are very open in what you can do. And they're broken into different areas. So for example, the yoga class was that you had to take so many health and well-being classes, which I thought was quite good because it got you trying new things. And the beekeeping was part of, I think, biology and science kind of stuff. So you could either take beekeeping or astronomy, for example.
And how did you...
I took beekeeping.
Easy option. Definitely a lot easier. How did you do in terms of, like, were you performing well when it came to the degree?
Yeah, so my first couple of years, and I'm not going to lie, were a bit of a struggle for me academically. I wasn't too invested in it. I was more concerned about football.
And the nights out.
And the nights out, exactly.
which is the same for any student probably.
It just depends how you approach it. But being a bit immature at that point, I kind of pushed it all to the side. Wasn't used to doing my homework all the time. The way we do our hires out here, it kind of comes down to a final exam. So my mindset was, I'll just leave it to the last exam.
And then you can,
which I would strongly advise against. You have to do all your homework out there.
That's not anything to go by.
But
don't listen to that piece of advice.
But that being said, I kind of put it to the side, but I kind of turned things around. I realised quite quickly how important it was that effectively, if you don't perform academically, you won't be there to play the football matches, which you go out to do. So,
what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Would the coach not allow you to attend games if you weren't?
Not necessarily the coach. The rules are, so the NCAA, the governing body, don't allow you to play unless you've got a minimum GPA.
Okay,
so
that's interesting.
That's your grade point average. So you need to maintain a certain academic level to actually play. So academics are just as important as your athletics as well. So you remember when you go out there, they call you a student athlete. So again, they're putting the word student first.
Yeah.
So it's just as important to be a good student as it is to be an athlete. And I think the quicker you realise that, the better you'll do.
I think it's a good model though, because am I right in saying that if you're an American kid wanting to play professional football in the MLS or is it USL, the one below?
Yep.
You would have to go. You would have to do a scholarship. Like you wouldn't just go into an academy there when you're 16, 17, would you?
Typically not. It's kind of changing now a little bit. But certainly when I went,
similar to like the NFL, like similar model.
Yeah, so there's a college draft. They call it a draft at the end of the end of every year.
For the players.
For the players, yeah. So typically the MLS teams will snap up
soccer players.
The best soccer players, yeah. Yeah, so there's a soccer draft and it's an MLS draft, so they'll select about 100 players or something like that, and the top ones will actually go out play in the MLS that year.
Do the USL do the same? Do they have...
The USL don't have a draft, but normally what happens is the ones that don't get picked will
go USL.
And typically for internationals, they don't really even go in the draft because each MLS team is only allowed so many international spots, so they don't tend to waste them on less experienced players. So most of the good internationals will go to the USL, and if they're really good, they'll maybe play there for a couple of years, and then they'll move on to the MLS, or they find their feet at the USL. There's some brilliant teams in that league that
So
have
see,
great attendances.
aye,
So yeah, just
aye.
depends.
I mean, what did Kaka not play USL?
No, Kaka didn't. There's been
There was a couple of big
Drogba
names.
played at one point.
Big names played in the USL, so it's still a very.
Joe Cole played in the USL. There's been various
So
different players.
see what you're saying about the draft. Is that only at the end of your degree?
So,
Or could they maybe spot you after year one, but you still have to finish your...
You could go after year one. I think a good example of that is Jack Harrison that plays with Leeds now? He went after his first year to the draft.
All right.
And that's a kind of exceptional case, obviously. But
so he left his college and went...
Yeah, he played
New York City, didn't he?
1 year college and then he went straight to New York City. Yeah, but generally you would go after your 4 years, because what happens if you declare yourself for the draft, you then become ineligible to play college.
Right. Okay.
So you know, if you don't get drafted,
it's a bit of a catch.
Your college.
It's a bit of a risk, isn't it? Almost.
A bit of a risk, yeah. So generally, and as well, to be honest, like it's generally you're normally about 22, 23 by the time you finish playing college, and in America that's the kind of mindset at that age you might be ready to make the step up.
But it's the same. Like if you look here, like especially Premier League, like that's the age players break into the team probably consistently, that 22, 23 age.
And it's going up as well. I think statistically, it's players are getting older. If you ask me if I necessarily agree with that, I'm not sure. I think sometimes exposing young players to...
Keep close to the mic.
Yep, sorry. If you expose young players to the kind of that level quicker, you know, they might adapt. But for many players, that works.
Yeah.
And they need that bit of time to develop, you know.
Yeah, but the one thing I like about the American model, you know, making the players do the scholarship and education, is because... I mean, you don't have that here at all. There's no emphasis on young players doing any type. I mean, there is a little bit of emphasis put on it from clubs, but not to the same extent. They don't have the same model as that American model, and I think it is. I would say it's a better model because there's such a high dropout rate.
I think for a lot of cases it's a better model because, as we said before, not everyone's going to go on and make fortunes out the game. You know, however, there is circumstances where players do, but I think having that option to
because here you're just putting your eggs in all in one basket.
Exactly, I think having that option to get the degree or any qualification you need to have a backup plan is pretty important.
Aye, massively. And I think interesting point is that you always kind of worked away though in school, but one thing I would say. For that, there'll be some young players listening as well to this. Is that I would say the group. So in terms of, because we've known each other since first year in school, but the group that we had around us in terms of like a friendship group of other lads, everyone was very like studious, competitive, but probably like quietly competitive. Everyone wanted to beat each other. This is my perspective. Maybe I've got it all wrong.
No, I'm agreeing.
Like I felt as though we were in a very good positive group. Everyone wanted to do well in whatever sport they were doing. Everyone wanted to do well in school. And that was our environment. You know, you saw these guys every single day. And that generally pushed each other, didn't we?
No, definitely. Like, so I think that's a really good point, because I remember when I was in school as well, I never loved school. I never really loved anything academic. I always just wanted to be a footballer. But I remember our group of friends from a young age, we almost became competitive with each other. And I began studying outrageously for things that I didn't really give a monkey's about, like physics or something that.
Nobody, you didn't want to be left behind. You did not want to be left behind. You wanted to stay up.
And also I wanted to, you know, we were all trying to out each other. So I think as well, having the right environment around you is
massive.
It's really important for doing well in school and even doing well in football as well. You know, you need to be with be around other people that are going to drive you.
Especially young guys in particular. I listened. I can't remember who it was, but there was a quote that really resonated with me. Was this guy said, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Right? It's a great quote, and it brought me back to thinking about our environment, our group of friends. And you say, "Show me your friends." Right? Our friends, but they were hardworking. They were, you know, diligent in everything they did. Worked away, very studious, very independent, competitive. And that just kind of morphs into your future. So I would say, as a young player right now, who look around, who are you surrounding yourself with, and not just in school but in football as well. Like, I know, and you'll know as well, there's guys that are just energy drainers. There's guys who, if you're working a little bit harder at training, you know, whether it be in the team training session, or maybe you want to hang back at the end, or maybe you are doing stuff in the gym, maybe you're really looking after your nutrition, there'll be guys there just try to suck that out of you, try to drag you down to their level. And sometimes you can't really select who's around you, because it is a team. You can't put a team. But I think if young boys, young players, young guys are making an effort to surround themselves with people who, you know, have a kind of drive, want to do well for themselves, it naturally just brings your level up across the field, doesn't it?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you anymore. And that's probably a point I should have made when I mentioned how I moved college to the second college I went to, where it's more Americans. And probably something I've took from them is that I feel like sometimes, and no disrespect to the west of Scotland, there's sometimes this kind of culture of not actually trying to be the best version of yourself you can be.
But it's almost like it's a bad thing to do well,
or just be satisfied with what there is. But I feel like there was this culture of everyone driving each other on and trying to constantly
at the second college you went to.
Yeah, I felt like that's the American culture. They've got a bit of get up and go about them, and
they're very, very positive people as well, aren't they?
Definitely, sometimes a bit too positive,
too much.
But you can take little things from it. I think that was something I've learned from there. That just that desire to always kind of keeping each other's backs and constantly just progress and develop.
That's it, mate. It's massive. And I'll go back to I remember when we were at school, Bearsden Academy was our school, and we began doing morning training, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
at the school. So basically, I'd gone to St Ninians when I was at Celtic. This is the school that they were using for, bringing players from the academy in, training them in the morning. You'd have your breakfast, you'd be in school, then straight up to Lennoxtown, because it was close to Lennoxtown as well, the training ground. And I stayed for third year, left, came back to Bearsden Academy in fourth year, partly because I wasn't doing well academically. My education was dropping down, I think, naturally, because one, you're surrounded with the boys in your team, bit of a carry on, and I was young, like what age, 13, 14. So you're just doing what everyone else is doing. But basically moved back to Bearsden Academy, and the worry was from the club that I wasn't going to get the same amount of training. So we had a very good PE teacher.
Yep.
Shout out.
Mr. Douglas.
Scott Douglas,
yeah.
And he offered to put on extra training sessions for us before school, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And we were really lucky, actually. I think he used to come in time we would meet at, maybe like 6:30 in the morning or something like that.
Was it 6:30?
I think so. And he would always be in before us.
Well, he claimed he never slept.
Claimed he never. And you know what? I believe him. But
if we were in at 6:30, he'd been in at 4.
Yep,
he was in since 4, washing the kit from last night's game or something like that.
And he'd have us in the morning. 6:30 in the morning, we'd be running upstairs, and everyone would be arriving at school, and we'd still be like sweating, running upstairs, laughing at us. But it was just little things like that.
But again, though, that's because like me and you were driving that from each other.
Exactly, yeah.
Like you'd be there first thing. You didn't want to be a minute late, because it was almost like the other person had one up on you. And your brother joined as well, didn't he? Because your brother was playing at Celtic.
Yep, Aidan joined, and then actually as a result, other people wanted involved.
That's it. Because when boys start they want to be. When you see a good positive environment like that, it's attractive to be involved in. And they ended up maybe about 4 or 5. Was there 5 of us, maybe?
Yeah, about 5 of us in the end.
At some point.
And which is a good turnout, considering like you're 15, 16, and it's
were we doing
6 in the morning.
Were we doing it twice a week?
Twice a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think it was.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, yeah. And it was just extra fitness, we did some strength work. I remember one day it was the Victory Shield. Do you remember this?
I remember
the
that.
Victory Shield for Scotland. And I'd played centre back like every single game, and I'd been told I was playing right back, and I'd never played right back before. It was the first time I'd ever played right back, and I was like, shit, like I need to work on this. So Mr. Douglas, he's like, boys, we're going out onto the pitch, and it was like a winter. It was freezing. The pitch was frozen solid,
if I'm honest.
And I was just standing out wide. He was pinging balls out to me, and you and Aidan were in the box, like trying to get at the end of one of my terrible crosses. Probably
too bad. Like the balls kept going over the fence, but yeah, that's.
But fair play to him for doing that for us. But again, it's just showing that I think at the young age as well, boys can find it. You can be put off. A lot of boys find things embarrassing. It's what you touched on earlier about the West Scotland thing, it's maybe a bit embarrassing to show that you're going over and above than what's actually required to make yourself better. But I think it's an important point that, you know, whether you're playing football in Scotland, you know, trying to make it in an academy or a first team, or whether you're going out to the States, I've said it before, it's just high standards. Because that's the only thing that will get you anywhere, is having high standards and working away.
I think exactly as you said. I think like if you want to do anything, and it really doesn't matter what it is, you just have to put your all into it. You have to give the best that you can give in anything you do. And I think if you do that, you know, you're putting yourself in a good position.
You're gonna get rewarded for it.
Exactly.
If you're consistent with that, you're gonna get rewarded for it.
You'll always improve, and it might not be the improvement that you dream of, but it will definitely get you somewhere, and you can take bits of that and transfer it into other bits of life. So,
definitely.
So you're
and then at least you know you can look back and say to yourself, well, I did everything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No regrets.
So you can't be annoyed at yourself.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly what it is. You've hit the nail on the head. You just have to have an open mind and put yourself out there, and you know, not be afraid to try new things.
So I want to go back to the States a little bit, and I want to ask you a question about, you know, obviously at young age boys can get homesick, but I want to touch on maybe times where you maybe felt a bit low, you missed home. Like, how did you cope with that? Was there any times where you were like, I hate this, I need to leave, I need to come back?
Yeah, sometimes I think generally it would normally happen when I was kind of, you guys at home had a lot of kind of plans that I was missing out on. For example, I remember you had your prom.
Oh yeah.
You had different kind of events you should experience when you're growing up. And I was out there, and I wasn't going to be a part of these kind of significant events. And I think they were the kind of main times. And generally as well, the other times where you think you want to come home are when you've been out for quite a while and you're just really looking forward to seeing everyone. So I remember normally by the time the Christmas break came, you were pretty excited to go home and just see everyone.
You came home at Christmas, didn't you?
Yeah. I would always come home at Christmas. You'll come home for a month, so that was brilliant, because you got to see your family and got to see all your pals.
I suppose if you're having a hard time, that keeps you going in terms of, like, you know, you're going to be back. And
that's it. It's about having that at the back of your mind. So like enjoying like being out there, but eventually, you know, you do want to come home, and when you do come home, you know, you really enjoy it. But I would say by the time you've actually the month's up at home, you're also ready to go back as well.
I'm sick of these guys. I hate my pals. I hate my family.
Not just that, it's normally a big month when you come back. So
true.
You've got a bit of a hangover, so you're ready to go back to the States.
So I would say you were in the States probably through the years where you grow massively as an individual. You know, you're turning from a boy to a man. Do you think the States changed Craig Quinn?
Oh, definitely.
They definitely shaped you, didn't they?
Definitely. I think as I mentioned, like, just being able to have that experience, living by yourself, being independent, meeting people from different backgrounds, different cultures, you know, new experience. I think it completely changes your perspective on everything. You actually get to see, you know, there's a big world out there. I think
it gives you perspective. It's an interesting point, actually. It gives you perspective, doesn't it? Because you can get quite caught up in your little bubble where you live at home, where you grow up. So that's a good point.
It almost makes you put into perspective as well, like, you know, how small a place Scotland actually is. When you go over to America and you're on these 9-hour bus journeys, and that's only going from one state to the other. You know, it puts into perspective everything, really. Yeah.
So I'm soon going to come on to your quickfire questions.
Oh, brilliant. Looking forward to them.
Shall I move on to them? I think I might.
No prior warning of these.
No, you've not been. No, I gave you a little
ready to be tested.
A little rundown. So we'll talk about, actually, before we go on to that. You came home from the States after 4 years, and we actually almost forgot to finish your journey there. So you came home after 4 years.
Yep.
And what did you do?
So when I came home, what I'd done was, prior to coming home, I'd applied to do my Masters. So I applied to do my Masters in International Business at Glasgow Caledonian, and I got accepted. So when I came home, I spent, you know, kind of the best part of 18 months doing that.
So you came home in the summer?
Yeah.
And then did you start that in the September or something?
Yeah, so I came home. I actually played in the summer
So you did.
After it finished.
You went to Erie, didn't you?
Yeah, I went back to Erie for the summer. So
tell the listeners what Erie is and what it was.
So Erie is a place in the Great Lakes, in America, kind of industrial type town. Probably, I'm trying to think, maybe about the size. It's got 200,000 people.
You like comparing the size of places.
I'm just trying to
give it context.
Yeah, a bit of context for it.
So was a summer league?
Yeah, so there's what you generally do when you're out there, is the kind of fourth division out in America runs through the summer. So what that means is that the college players, once they're done for the summer months, can go to these teams and play for them. So what I would do generally is go out and play for one of these teams, and it was quite a good way of making a bit of money while you weren't in college. You could, you would coach, and you would get to play football as well. So I used to go to a place called Erie and play for a team called Erie Commodores. Very American kind of name. But yeah, I would play there and I loved it.
Did you go there 2 summers?
Went there for two summers. Loved it. Brilliant. Got to, again.
And how long does that last?
And that would last from May until August. So, So quite a while. And loved it, just playing lots of football.
And you got paid pretty well as well, didn't you, for the coaching?
Good money for coaching. Good earner. And then plenty of social events.
Nights out.
By that point, I was 21. So
social events. You make it sound very formal and
no, it wasn't very formal.
Very proper.
But yeah, so Erie's right on the lakes, and the Great Lake is almost like you can imagine. Lake Erie is probably it's like an ocean. Like it doesn't look like a lake. You can't see the other side when you get there. So yeah, there was loads of bars and nightclubs out in the lake. So generally coaching during the day.
Get closer to that mic, boy.
We'd train it. We train at night and, play games probably 2-3 times a week, but plenty of nights out and all that in between. Brilliant experience, loved it.
Aye. So that's another interesting one as well for players that maybe go out to the States, is to consider that.
I would say that's one of the best things you could do.
That was one of the best things you did,
brilliant, loved it. Probably the summers I spent there were probably actually my best times in the States.
Right, okay, it's interesting.
Loved them.
Yeah. Can we touch on spring break?
Spring break, yeah.
Spring break, that was back. Was that year one that you really enjoyed spring break?
So,
are you allowed to tell the story of spring break?
Or is I'll leave that one, but
all right, okay. So
maybe for another one.
Okay.
Yeah, spring break.
So where was spring break?
So we went to Panama City.
You're right.
In Florida, big kind of beach resort. Loads of parties on the beach and all that
spring
stuff.
Spring break, total American.
Yeah, pool parties.
Pool parties.
The most American thing you can think of, pretty much. At that time, it was just as...
I remember watching you going, I wish I was there.
Amazing.
It looked
loved
unreal.
And it was just as at that time, I think Kevin Bridges had done the kind of...
Chad Hogan
joke a few years before that. So there was all that kind of banter going on and whatnot. So it was... But yeah, if anyone's going out, there's definitely time to do things like that and have those experiences.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, mate. Like you obviously go out for the scholarship and the football and the education, but you do get opportunities like playing summer football, which is really good. You can earn some money, and also there's like trips away, like the spring break as well, which is pretty cool. So you came home, started your masters. How long did that last?
So just about 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the best part of 18 months. I think I finished it last November. So it was quite an intense course. Yeah. Kind of like a lot.
I'm just laughing that you're not telling the spring break story. But so it was in 18 months. It was 18. It was 18 months.
Got to keep this PC.
Aye. Your mum and dad don't know, do they?
Oh,
no.
They do.
No chance.
But
okay,
so
I'm sorry. We're gonna
back to the Masters. That's a very credible thing to do.
Keep it going. Right, continue. Masters.
But yeah, done my Masters, which I think was really good. Got the chance to experience university here as well. Completely different again from my experience in America. So took a lot from that. And
18 months. That was your job done.
That was it.
With the Masters. Yep. And what happened in terms of football? What were you doing for football? So you came back and.
Yeah, so when I came back, I signed for a Lowland League club called Caledonian Braves. Lowland League, 5th year of Scottish football. And so I played for them while studying and played for them right up until kind of COVID hit and all the football got shut down. And then after that, at the end of that season, I signed for Petershill But last season didn't really play because the football was kind of off out of bounds for a year. So first season with Petershill was beginning this year. So started to see.
So you're with Petershill now
at the moment. Yeah.
What league are they in?
So they play in the West of Scotland League. So that is, believe it or not, a couple of divisions below Cali Braves. But we're doing really well. I think we're on a kind of 14-game winning streak at the moment. So so really well.
You scored a couple?
Scored a couple goals, yeah. Getting up there. I think we've scored 5 this season. Getting a good few numbers in. Not the top scorer.
So you're playing for Petershill and you now have a job as well, don't you? Off the back of your degree?
Yep, so I'm working for a technology company called Cisco, and I'm in the graduate program there. So really enjoying that as well. So I'm getting to that stage in my life where you're kind of beginning to really grow up. You've got a job.
You're a man now. You've got a job.
That's it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Cisco are a brilliant company to work for.
Shout out Cisco.
That's it. Shout out to Cisco.
So see, looking back, did you see when you were 17 going out to the States? Did you might not have even thought about it, but did you envision where you are right now? Did you envision yourself having a degree, working in a big tech company, playing for Petershill, or did you envision a different path, like maybe more football based, or?
Oh, definitely would have envisioned more of a football path at that point. That was my end goal, really, at that point. But you begin to realise over time that not everyone can make it at the top level, and I feel like albeit I've might not necessarily have took the right path at all times, but I've kind of got to somewhere that I'm really really happy with, and I feel like I'm on a good path for the future, just in terms of where I am as a person, but also whether that be in your career or playing football as well. So very very happy at the moment and towards the future.
What do you have? What I'm going to ask you what your aspirations are professionally in terms of your job, but also in terms of your football. Any further aspirations here? 5-10 years time, do you want to be playing?
So yeah, football wise, it is what it is at the moment. But I'm still open to playing at the highest level I can.
What do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself playing?
You know what? At the moment, Sam, I've not really got a clue.
Yeah,
but I do believe I can play at a slightly higher level than I am at the moment.
I would agree. And I just wondered if you had any aspirations.
Oh, definitely. Really? If opportunities come along that I can play at a higher level at football, I'll absolutely do it.
And you can do that, can't you, with work as well?
Definitely, yeah. So I work 9 to 5. That's my kind of hours. And my football we train at night, so there's no stopping me playing at the highest level of kind of part-time football that I possibly be, and I'll continue to keep myself in good shape and play competitively as well. So you never know. You don't know what's round the corner. So exactly. I'll be there if the opportunity comes about.
And what about professionally?
Yeah, so
aspirations.
Yes, I've just
run Cisco.
That'd be brilliant. But again with that, I've kind of just started my career, so at the moment I'm learning my trade. I'm working my way up essentially. So my aspirations there are just to be as successful as I possibly can be, and to be in a position where I'm enjoying life really. Yeah.
Are you enjoying life now?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you happy?
Absolutely. I'm happy.
Good man.
That's it.
Good man. Well, Craig, that was good fun. We're gonna hit these quick fire questions.
Oh no. Not been looking forward to these.
Is there anyone you want to shout out?
No.
Misses? Nah. Okay, sorry. And listen, before we do the quick fire questions,
not unless this is going on Sky Sports or BBC News or anything like that.
None of that. None of that this time. Well, just YouTube and a podcast.
Just the millions on TikTok you've got these days.
Maybe it might make its way. I tell you what would make its way on TikTok and get millions of views.
Spring break story.
Exactly. That's it.
That might be.
Don't tease
that
them.
Might be the sequel then.
Don't tease them
if you get me back.
So I think next time we're gonna have the unnamed man who only lasted a year out in the States.
Right. Okay.
And
if you can ever get him on.
And yourself on, and we can have a chat about.
Does this mean we have to wear our spring break costumes on the podcast, or is that
if you want, you can do that. I've never been in spring break, so I don't have one.
All right, well.
So we're going to shake. If you're listening to this, you won't be able to see it, but if you're watching this, you'll be able to see it. We're going to shake on a return to the podcast and spring break story. Promise?
I'm agreeing to too much here, but yeah, there we go.
There we go. A nice firm handshake. That's a business.
That's a
Cisco handshake.
That's one that they've been teaching us that, putting into practice.
Okay, are you ready for the quick fire?
There we go.
10 questions. Number 1, what are your favourite football boots to wear?
Predators.
Predators.
The ones with the tongue.
They don't make them anymore though.
No.
They don't. They were nice boots, weren't they?
Gutted, mate.
They were really
the
nice.
ones that went round with the tongue.
You get any still in the locker or any old pairs kicking about? Nah?
I know you can get them off some of these websites, but they're a fortune now.
Number 2, who is your favourite football player?
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik Larsson.
Or past or present? Or present.
We'll go one past and one present.
Messi, present. Larsson, past.
Okay. So we obviously know what team you support. Number 3, what football player did you look up to most growing up?
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik Larsson. Okay. What is the worst pitch or stadium you've ever played at?
That's a tough one. It's St. Roch's.
St. Roch's.
Yep.
Bad pitch.
Brilliant supporters.
Brilliant supporters. We'll give them that.
But pitch is it's like a bomb site.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Nizzy interestingly said that he didn't want to talk badly about any club's pitches, so he just went for the old ash pitches you used to get.
Oh right, yeah. They're probably one worse, but
I like that answer.
Maybe not. They're flat. This pitch is like an ankle breaker.
True. What's the best pitch or stadium you've ever played at?
Celtic Park.
Celtic Park.
Yep.
Who did you play on Celtic Park for?
Played for Hamilton.
Oh, you played for Hamilton?
Yeah.
Was that a
reserve game?
Was that a reserve game?
Yeah.
Nice. Because they did used to use the first team pitches for reserve games, didn't they?
It was like a cup game or something like that.
Was it a cup game?
I was only like 15 or 16 at the time. Brilliant experience. That was a big dream of mine to play there. Only played 15 minutes, but
yeah,
brilliant.
Doesn't matter. Still there. That was my favourite stadium as well.
Brilliant.
Playing. Number 6, favourite book ever. Have you got a book? Are you a reader? You're not. You read books. Have you ever read a book? Is there one book that?
I can't even think
of
a book.
try to think of a book.
I wish I could say Harry Potter or something. I've never read that.
I need to get. I'm going to give you one of my books. You can read that.
Right.
All right. I'll give you one of mine. Number 7, favourite film ever.
Favourite film, another one.
Well, you can have a top 3.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Good film.
Yeah, it's a really good film. Favourite food ever. Number 8.
Pizza.
Pizza. What are you having on the pizza?
Steak or pizza?
Steak or pizza?
Go pizza.
What are you having on the pizza?
It's got to be some type of pepperoni, but the good pepperoni, like the Italian kind of pepperoni.
What about some buffalo mozzarella?
What's like the Pisano type pizza?
Yeah. Steak, how do you have the steak?
Medium rare.
Medium rare.
That's
Any
peppercorn sauce.
Peppercorn sauce.
Chips. Finsbury Flatiron.
Finsbury Flatiron.
You know what? That's it. Finsbury Flatiron steak. They are
good.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them. They're really good.
Very good.
Okay, so last 2 questions in the quick fire. These ones aren't as quick fire. Maybe have more than one word or one sentence. So number 9, what do you define success as in your life or generally generally? What do you define success as in your life?
I think generally probably, and again it applies to me as well, and I touched on it earlier, is just being able to apply yourself so much that you're giving all you can in anything you do.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that be something you know nothing about or whether that be something you're really passionate about, just fully immerse yourself and be your best at that, because I don't think success can be defined by anything materialistic, but I think that's really important if you want to get something out of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So essentially, it's not a material thing. It's not something that you can really measure. It's more like something you do.
I think
just
so.
Applying yourself 100%.
Being able to see yourself,
doing yourself justice.
Yeah, progress and get better at something. I think that's success.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Okay, number 10. What would you say to a young player starting off in their football journey?
I would just say be completely open-minded. There'll be lots of kind of knocks on the road that might put you down, just that will test your resilience. What I would say is just keep an open mind and keep working hard to achieve what you want to achieve. And if something doesn't go to plan, just be open-minded and keep working towards where you want to get to.
I like that.
That would be my advice.
Yeah. No, it's a really good one to finish on, because I think there will be a lot of young players listening who do put a lot of pressure on themselves, either to get a scholarship, to play in their academy, to play in their professional team, to make it as a footballer. And if one of those things don't work out, and I know all too well that there's always something around the corner that you can do.
I would also say another important thing is just to be patient.
Yeah.
Because I think as well, young players want to get to the finish line really quickly, but that doesn't always happen. There's obstacles in the way. So just be patient and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
That's us. So
That's us.
You were obviously on right at the very start. We did a Facebook Live, but this was proper studio, proper mics. How did you find it?
First class. I've never actually been in a studio that looks anything like this. So
that's nice. That is really nice.
And it's weird hearing your own voice with these
G4 claims.
Yeah, this
legends.
Headset on. But yeah.
Thank you, brother.
All right, mate. Cheers. Thanks for having me. Hopefully you get some people of more significance on the on the call.
This is going to go around the Cisco. This is going to the top. All right, so we'll see you soon. And I just wanted to say before we go that my new website is just launched, samwardrop.com, so go and check it out.
Cheers, Sam.
Cheers, Craig.